Hey, what's going on, everybody? Invisible Boilon here because I'm filming this late at night and also I don't look great and I want to do a video for you all. So yeah, no webcam on this time, but we're here to talk about welcome to patch whatever the hell number we're on right now. There was a there was a patch, obviously, that happened, and we've been given now the addition of Legolas and Gimli in the roster screen, which I guess is going to be at the bottom for me. Down here, two 100 shard characters. Now, I did talk about this very briefly, how character releases aren't content, but I do want to run over a little bit of the patch notes. I also want to talk about the upcoming changes, which is really big, to the star rank system, and how this is going to impact some of your beloved characters, and what this is going to mean going forward. Unfortunately, as of recording this video, we do not have Legolas and Gimli yet in the LotR.gg database. When we do, however, I want to do a separate video, particularly aimed at Legolas, and comparing him to Elro here and things like that. I think this is a common question that I've been seeing floating around, is whether or not a 3 or 4-star Legolas is going to be viable against a 7-star Elro here, because of how easy his farm is and what that kind of means. That's going to be a separate video though, but if you're ready for everything else, then let's boil this down. So, just to start things off, we're going to be going through the patch notes, which you can, by the way, find both in my Discord, which is webhooked from the official Lord of the Rings Discord website. I don't know why I said website. That you could, if you're not part of either, you should probably join. If you're not a member of the Boilon Gaming Lounge, where we talk about Lord of the Rings every day, then you should join that too. You'll find the link in the description of the video. It's always there on all of my videos. But anyways, so we're getting the Legolas campaign, and what do you call it? The adventure campaign, basically, on July the 10th. Now, that's going to be on Monday, and then it lasts for 7 days. So all of these last for 7 days, and nothing special there. You don't need any characters. For those of you who may be new to the game, you don't need any special characters to run this. I believe you do need, like, account level 30, I think, though, to get this. It's essentially a free 3-star. It'll be very easy to pick up a 3-star Legolas, just like they had for Arwen and Eladin, whether or not you were playing the game at the time when these came out. So this is going to be a very easy character to unlock, and then on the back of that, actually it does say down here that you'll need to be at least level 30 to participate, and they give you characters to use in those battles. So that's not very difficult there. And then all the way up, there's other battles that you can do, but it does require a 4-star Legolas, which involves you spending money, and a 5-star, which involves spending more money, or gems, with the gem chest. You see all the rewards here. I'm not going to really go over this again because, it's the same old. And then 1 week later, which is surprising, because Gimli is only 7 days on the back. Actually, it's right after Legolas's event ends. And this is different from Arwen and Eladin that had 2 weeks apart, basically. They did last only 1 week, but the actual event itself were 2 weeks apart. This time it's not. So it's coming hard and fast that basically in a 2-week period we're having 2 characters. So I don't know if this is going to be regular going forward or not, or if it's just specifically for these 2 characters, perhaps, with Gandalf coming in the not-so-distant future. So we'll have to really see and how that kind of plays out. That's going to be really important to know for cadence things, and, how quickly are we going to be getting characters every month? Are we going to be getting 4 characters a month? We're going to be getting 2 characters a month. As you all know, there's really not enough resources to really cover all of this. Anyway, so yeah, the Gimli event, the same kind of rewards here. The epic ability material, this is a separate conversation that we might have later on. It's currently being gated by spending. And the characters that are really benefiting from it, off the top of my head, honestly, the one that that people are really asking about is Elrond, because you need 10 epic ability materials for his level 5, which I do have because I did take Eladin to 5-star, so I got the epic ability materials from his campaign event, but now I need 20 more for the leader ability 6, and I'm not willing to do this by getting these other characters to 5-star because I don't want to spend that much money on these characters that I don't really plan to use at this point. And this is probably a topic of another conversation. I think the Fellowship comes at a weird time where everyone just spent all of their light resources into Rivendell for the most part, and these characters aren't characters that I'm going to be building right away. Now, the biggest change here, this changes to Arwen. So, she's in the supply store now. Is she in my supply store right now? I don't know. Maybe she is. Is she always there? Yeah, so 10 for 400 gems. This is quite expensive, actually, and, you know, to get a 4-star, 80 shards, that would be essentially about 3,200 gems. And from a price point, that's a $20 offer that you would have been able to spend for that 4-star, for those 80 shards. But how much is that in gems cost? 3,200 is like... Oh God, I don't know. This in US dollars, this is probably like 30 US dollars, 30, maybe a little bit more. So in terms of value, you know, if you are thinking about shards for a new character, you're better off just spending the 20 US dollars to get the 4-star for that character on the 80 shards. You know, it's not worth buying gems now to then buy Arwen's shards, in my opinion, unless you're a Kraken who's trying to power her up to 7-star. Maybe this is a little bit better than buying her directly from those gem chests. That part, I'm not really sure. I didn't do the math on that, so I'm not a huge spender, so it just doesn't seem like a really great deal. But this apparently is the cadence for Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and I think it's been about 4 or 5 weeks since Arwen's event started, I believe, and how long we have to wait now to go from the chest to an actual farmable location is going to be the mystery, and that'll be the first kind of data point that we'll have in terms of other characters. We also have the other unfarmable characters as well, Eldred, Troll Brute, and Great Goblin, and we'll see if any of these characters actually get a farm location as well, and whether or not they're just going to be shuffling characters kind of down the line and into a node or something like that. So that'll be interesting to find out. Now, oh, I jumped ahead a little bit. Why did it scroll up? I hate this. There we go. Let's upcoming in the near future. There we go. So yes, Gandalf details to come. And this is the biggest thing from these patch notes, is the way that the star ranks are working is going to change. So you can see here on the screen that this is currently how things work right now, from base stats at 1-star all the way to 2x at 7-star. And there was a lot of people, especially me, actually saying that, you know, from 5 and 6 and 7-star, there just wasn't a real reason to upgrade them that much, and especially spend the gold to do so. I'm sure that you're not all these offers that are showing up now all of a sudden, but I'm probably not the only one that has this in their roster, where you just have a ton of characters that you haven't promoted because you either don't want to spend the gold to do it, or you don't have the gold to do it. And it just wasn't worth it as far as stats value go. You know, like it didn't make a lot of sense for me to do that. And so that's why they're kind of on the bench right now. But this is a pretty significant stat increase going forward, especially from the 5, 6, and 7-star category. So you can see that actually going from a 5-star in the old system to the new system is a factor of 0.7. Not quite a doubling, but it's almost there. Now, going from 6-star from the old to the new is almost a doubling, and then 7-star is a doubling, going from 2 to 4x. And this is really hard to kind of visualize right now because the stats that you get from the star multiplier is independent from the gear stats. So you have to do this in a very mathematical fashion, that it's not, when you see here that the 7-star is going from 2x to 4x, it's not a flat doubling of all the stats. It's only a doubling of the stats that are associated with the star values, which is simply just the level ups. It has nothing to do with gear tier. It doesn't impact that at all. And I do have a little small spreadsheet table for a couple of characters that I want to share with you in terms of how this is going to look, because this will impact characters that you can get to 5, 6, and 7-star, characters that are very easily farmable. And those are going to be the characters that, you know, maybe just now all the offers show up all of a sudden. It's going to be those characters that you can farm in, say, the guild store, the arena store even, and especially the guild campaigns. You know, this is going to be really important. So these characters that you can spam in the guild campaigns, there's a few in particular, but I know where we're headed with this. And this is Chapter 3 for Elro here, which is going to be big, because some people may have already farmed them to 7-star, but I did not, because I didn't have the gold, and I didn't, you know, feel that the stat increases was super significant, but I think I'm going to have to go back to this now, in exchange for getting less gold and purple ability materials. And then, of course, there's a couple of other characters, namely to mention, which is going to be Ironhide Troll, getting him to 7-star, and Ugluck, which are going to be big winners from this update. So Ugluck, Ironhide, and Elro here are going to be huge winners for this changeover with the way that the star ranks are going to work. So when this comes into practice, you're getting basically a doubling of the star value stats if you're going from 7-star, which is easily, you can, honestly, within a month, you could farm a character from from up to 7-star. Like, you get so many shards out of the guild campaign that it won't take too long to do, and it's definitely worth doing. But just to really show you, and I think that's really about it. There was some changes, but as a result, they basically, I think that this patch where the star rank changes are coming is going to be in about 3 weeks' time. That's my guess, when the raids come in. And they're going to be changing some of the battles associated with these harder sort of campaigns and difficulties associated with those star rank upgrades. So these characters are going to appear stronger because they have star ranks involved. Same with the daily challenges. These are the final tiers. Those are going to be impacted by those as well. So keep that in mind. So if you've been thinking about kind of pushing a little bit further in the campaign or in the daily challenges, make sure you do that now before the patch goes live, because then the stats are going to kind of flip on its head a little bit. So just to note, the big difference though about this, and I want to bring this up one last time, is that this is going to make characters that are basically 1 to 3 star pretty valueless, as you see that nothing changes between 1, 2, and 3 star. So where the changes occur is in 4, 5, 6, and 7 star. So this obviously benefits people who spend, but it also benefits free-to-play characters in those farmable characters, like the guild campaign, the ones that are easily accessible. It is, however, going to mean that your old 3-star, 2-star characters are going to be less valuable than they were before, because they're not getting the same boost as the other ones are. So from a free-to-play perspective, you're going to want to be focusing on characters that are farmable, and the characters that you can upgrade a bit faster, because I think that even hard mode node farms are going to be a bit slow, and you're not going to see the star ranks up as quickly. So do keep that in mind as well. We'll be talking about that in future videos. There's quite a bit of stuff in here as far as bug fixes go, but I'm not really going to go over all of this. I do, you know, everyone should just go check this out in their own time. I want to kind of now pivot to this little mini chart that I have. And this kind of shows you the effective change that's going to happen between the star rank updates. Now, I've decided to use 2 characters for this example, Halbrad and Elrond, because they're healers, and they're ones that kind of benefit from health. We're specifically focusing on the health stat here, and that's why we're going to take a look at how things change. So this also helps to kind of visualize exactly what's going on with the stats. So right here, we have a level 60 G1. Gear 1, 1-star, Halbrad. Yes, I know this isn't possible, but bear with me. Just for sake of comparison, he has about a 10,000 HP pool for Halbrad. Now, if you go to level 60 G1, but at 7-star, he's got just over 20,000. So that means the difference between 1-star and 7-star is approximately a value of 10k or thereabouts. Now, the new version, which is going to be the same thing, level 60 G1 7-star, is going to be about 40.4k, and that's because that's the value increase from 2x to 4x, and that's what's going on here. This is without gear, by the way, and now we include the gear, but this is the old version. So we have level 60 G8 7-star, and that's going to be about 31.4k, which is basically just this value here plus the gear value, and then we go to the new value, which is level 60 G8 7-star new, and that's 51.6k. And where do I come up with this number? That's basically this number over here, the new stat values of the hit points, plus what the Gear 8 values are worth. And that gives you the grand total of 51.6k. Now, over from the old version to the new version, it's an effective change of about 61%. That's just taking this value and dividing it by that one. And that shows that while it's a doubling of the star stats, when you combine everything together, it's not exactly a doubling of everything, because the gear stats are just additive, not multiplicative. So it's not going to be a doubling of all the stats. It's an effective change of 61% for the health. Like I said, Gear 8 is roughly valued at 11.2k for Halbrad for him. Now for Elrond, you can see kind of the similar change, but let's just jump ahead because I've already explained this with Halbrad. The old version of a level 60 G8 7-star Elrond, yes, I know only a few people probably have this, but I just, for the sake of argument and to show the difference in the hit points that's going to happen, we have basically a change from 20k to 34k. Now for Elrond, that's an effective change of 58.8%. Why is this lower than Halbrad? A lot of this has to do actually with the change in the gear, associated with the gear, but also that he doesn't get as much hit points for all his gear as Halbrad does. And the only reason why I can explain that is probably he gets more stats in other categories, such as damage and focus and resistance and things that I didn't really show here in this kind of section here. I was mainly focusing on the health because when it comes to healing, they typically take into account their max hit points in terms of how much healing they're going to do. I did do one down below, and I really wanted Legolas to be here. There is a damage stat change here, but for example, we'll take a look at Elro here, and then in a future video when I'm able to do that, we'll do a comparison of Elro here and Legolas, because I really wanted to do that. But anyways, if we look at, and this is in the same fashion, I did this in the exact same fashion, but for damage instead, that if you look at the difference between the old level 60 G8 7-star Elro here to what the new version is going to be, it's going to be 2671. It's almost it is an increase of like 1,000 damage stat, which is quite substantial, and an effective change of almost 63%. Now, G8 Elro here damage stat is roughly 675. That's the difference over here between this value here and this value in this column. The difference between going from G1 to G8. And so, you know, it is still kind of crazy, though, because we're seeing an effective change of in the 60% realm for all of the stats. That means if you do, I don't know, let's say you're going to do 1,000 damage, that you would then hit for 1,600 instead. So it's quite substantial, at least at the 7-star level. And the reason why I wanted to showcase this at 7-star was because this is going to be a really important thing when you're measuring characters like the ones that are easily farmable, like the ones that I mentioned here, Ugluk, Ironhide, and Elro here specifically, and how much more powerful that's going to make them over characters that you, A, can't farm, or it's a slow node farm, or, you know, they're new characters, so you're not going to get them without spending above 3-star. So when we go back to this, and if do I have the table back up? One last time. I just want to bring this up one last time. So if we take, for example, a 3-star Legolas who has an effective value of 1.2x on their base stats versus a 7-star Elro here who has an effective 4x base stats, it's a no-brainer. That's like a difference of over 3 times as much between something like that. So if you're not someone who's willing to spend on Legolas, then obviously a character like Elro here is going to have a significant boost. But we're going to spend more time actually talking about those two specifically when I get the chance. So that's the end of this video, everyone. Don't forget to join the Boilon Discord channel, because we talk about this game every single day, and hopefully there'll be some more Lord of the Rings home videos to come. So until next time, everybody, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon signing out.